18-zip run where they were able to pull away from the Miami Heat. Moments ago, the hero for Brooklyn, James Harden, met up with the media.
Last game, you said that it's almost a luxury that you don't have to shoot to win games anymore. Does that help you at all mentally when you do want to then turn that on because you know you don't necessarily have to, you have help?
Yeah, but then, it's the other way as well, in the sense of I got to still be aggressive. I still got to look at the rim and shoot my shot and get to the rim and get into the paint and create shots for my teammates. So, I'm figuring it out. It's only been 5 games, and that's what we have a long season for. So once, we all find that balance, our team will be way better. But it's still early. We're just trying to, as we learn, we're trying to, rack up as many wins as we can. So it's a great feeling when you can do both.
Greg Logan with Newsday.
James, you said you've been focused on playmaking, and that's been clear so far. But could you just sense the other 2 guys, Kevin and Kai, struggling tonight, and did that kind of prompt you to take over the way you did tonight in the fourth?
Yeah, I just wanted to be a little bit more aggressive. Obviously, Kevin and Kai are really, really good scorers. Easy shots that they missed tonight that they normally make. So it was fourth quarter. The game was getting close, and we kept going back and forth. We had plenty of opportunities to take the lead, to a higher number, and they just kept climbing back. So we wanted to, finish the fourth quarter off the right way, and I think we did that. Defensively, they had 14 points, and offensively, just wanted to be aggressive with my shot.
Christian Winfield with the New York Daily News.
Hey, James, it looks like you have a good level of communication out there with Reggie Perry. Just curious what you make of his game and how you're trying to kind of obviously he's a rookie, drafted late in the second round. He's kind of thrown into the fire. How are you kind of trying to help him along?
That's the perfect phrase, thrown into the fire. But, he's learning. He listens, he learns, he works his butt off, and that's all you can ask for a young guy. So I just try to help him be in positions to be successful, whether it's, screening angles or, areas around the basket to be when our guards drive. Defensively, just a little bit of everything. I don't want to overwhelm him, but I want to just help him out a little bit. So at the end of the day, he still can be himself and go play freely, but positioning-wise, can be more active.
Alex Schiffer with The Athletic.
Hey, James, you touched on this a little bit, but you mentioned the offensive struggles. Was that mainly with their zone, do you think, that gave you guys most struggles? Was it other stuff that led to some of that?
Zone. We just had there's going to be nights where we don't all, shoot the ball well. There's going to be very minimum nights where all of us don't shoot the ball well. But that zone, and Cleveland did it. We see Miami do it because teams are going to try to slow us down as much as they can. Try to throw different looks at us. So once we get adjusted and we see the zone more often, we see different defensive schemes more often, then we'll know how to counter them and be more efficient offensively.
Bruce Beck with NBC New York.
James, you made it clear to us from day one that you are here to win. That's the goal. That's the number one priority. Are you enjoying the challenge of trying to figure out what you need to do to help this team win the most?
Yes, that's the best part of it. That's the best part of it is to, I was in a role for 8 years, controlling the ball, dominating the ball. Now it's a different experience for me, but it's still great. It's still basketball at the end of the day, and I'm lucky to be able to do more than just one thing on the basketball court. So, it's fun. It's like I said before, it's a game within the game. You got to pick and choose when to be aggressive, when to get your shooters going, when, to let Katie and Kyrie get going. And once we get a rhythm and start to feel, each other out more, it'll be a lot easier for us. And our team will have a lot more flowing throughout the course of the game. Right now, we're trying to find it, and we show really good glimpses of it, but it'll be more consistent.
Brian Lewis with the New York Post.
Yeah, and following up on that, was that conversation during the game that you had with KD or Kyrie? Steve said he did not have that conversation with you. Did you have that conversation with them saying, hey, be aggressive, attack, maybe my shot's not here.
No.
You get yours.
No.
No.
You can't predict what happens throughout the course of the game, So I just, see the game, take it possession by possession, and use my communication as best as I can.
Take a look now at James Harden. This is before Kyrie and then when Kyrie rejoined the team. So the before Kyrie is his first 2 with Brooklyn, averaged 33 points per game. His last 4, just 18, and his shots are down by 10 per game, Frank. You know, we were waiting for him to be more aggressive.
James Harden, along with the others, everyone playing their part. And I think this is going to be an important game just in terms of the growth and learning experience for everyone, because it's a night they struggled mightily from the field. And we hadn't necessarily seen that out of Kevin Durant or out of a variety of players. To think about the fact that they shot 29% from the three-point line, 40% from the field, but still were doing the things and pushing the buttons that they needed to win. And when it was closing time, they made the plays they needed to win. It wasn't just about the offensive side of the ball and making some shots, but I was really impressed too with what they did defensively, how they rotated, how they communicated, how they moved. And I think for those reasons, there is a lot of good to be taken out of this.
How about the rotation itself from Steve Nash, mixing and matching lineups, and couple of new looks in there in the second half?
How important, because these are the things that you start to get more comfortable with when you have a better feel for guys. And I think in some ways it's experimentation of what different combinations look like. We saw different lineups and different players on the floor with one another as you start to see who works well within the course of those lineups. But two, when you came down to the end of the game, you had some fresh legs for Kevin Durant, some fresh legs for James Harden, Joe Harris as well, James Harden. So I think for a variety of different areas to look at, this is a good opportunity to see how you're going to work in that rotation and start to get a level of consistency, because that's going to be important as everyone continues to learn their roles.
How about the look ahead now? The Atlanta Hawks, a team that the Nets saw in one of these 2-game series earlier this season. They split with Atlanta. Things have leveled off a bit for the Hawks after the hot start. Still a very talented group, and certainly gave the Nets everything that they could handle. That was pre-James Harden.
Yeah, and the start of a road trip for the Nets, so that's another aspect to look at. But despite the way that Atlanta has been playing, we know they have very capable players on the offensive end, the type of threats that Trae Young and John Collins bring to the table, along with many of those young players who are still looking at a level of inconsistency, so they are going to bring their best. And I think that circles back to the fact for the Nets is they've learned no matter who they're playing, no matter what the opponent, no matter how that team may be playing at a certain time, when Brooklyn Nets come to town, they are going to get their best shot, their best effort. And so a good chance for the Nets now, having won these last 2 games. How do you
expect his whole life, play the whole game, does whatever he wants, and now he's got to fill in a role and adapt to the NBA game. So, you know, but I'm a fan. He can shoot, he can pass, he can dribble. You know, he's a versatile 5 in the modern game, but, you know, he's still a young kid trying to figure out how he fits into a team with stars. So it's something that's going to take time with Reggie, but, you know, I believe in him, and I think he's got a bright future.
Malika Andrews with ESPN.
Steve, coming into tonight, James, Kevin, and Kyrie all ranked in the top 5 for minutes in a game since James joined this team. Is that something you're kind of resigned to, that these stars are just going to get a lot of miles on their body, or is it something you're kind of monitoring to try to change throughout the rest of the season?
No, we definitely want to monitor it and avoid, you know, that type of, you know, minutes. It's difficult as we try to sort out our second unit and rotations, because you get in the game and, you know, if you have a chance to win, you want to win, and you want to try to play the guys that are going to get you that win. But I definitely don't want to, you know, overdo it and play them too much. So that's tricky, and they're competitive. And when you take them out, they're not happy. And so we're trying to find that line of, like, we need to win games, but we also need to preserve them for later in the season. And we've had an incredibly difficult stretch where we've played more games than anyone in the league. So we're trying to find that balance where we can get our rotations down, get that newness out of the way, gel, and at the same time not have to play those guys high 30s or 40 minutes a game. Prospect his whole life, play the whole game, does whatever he wants, and now he's got to fill in a role and adapt to the NBA game. So, you know, but I'm a fan. He can shoot, he can pass, he can dribble. You know, he's a versatile 5 in the modern game, but, you know, he's still a young kid trying to figure out how he fits into a team with stars. So it's something that's going to take time with Reggie, but, you know, I believe in him, and I think he's got a bright future.
Malika Andrews with ESPN.
Steve, coming into tonight, James, Kevin, and Kyrie all ranked in the top 5 for minutes in a game since James joined this team. Is that something you're kind of resigned to, that these stars are just going to get a lot of miles on their body, or is it something you're kind of monitoring to try to